שבוע טוב. Okay.
Yeah, your show was just conquering. Shoftim was very good.
I like Shmuel also. It's so interesting.
Oh my God! It's, up until now, it's been amazing.
Like it's so. Yeah, come on, stop. We're gonna be surprised, right? We'll be surprised.
Gentlemen, we're on Chaf Aleph on Aleph. Ilfa of Rav Yochanan Avogarsi Baraisa. Ilfa and Rav Yochanan, is it being taped, Mario?
Yes. Yes.
Ilfa Rav Yochanan Avogarsi Baraisa. Ilfa Rav Yochanan was studying Torah. Chikalu Milsatuva. They were very poor. Let's go into business. You know what? Hashem doesn't want poor people. Let's go into business. They went and sat next to a wall that was a shaky wall. And they were eating bread there. Also, two angels came by. Rav Yochanan overheard the malachim. Let's drop this wall on both of them and kill them. They're leaving the study of Torah to go make business, which is only temporary life. Learning Torah leads to Olam Haba. The other malach told him, no, leave them alone. Now, one of them is going to become very successful. Rabbi Yochanan Shama, Ilfa lo Shama. Rabbi Yochanan, who understood the language of angels, understood all of this. Ilfa didn't hear it. So Rabbi Yochanan asked Ilfa, Shama Marmi, did you hear something? Amar le lo. Ilfa said, I didn't hear anything. Omar, so Rabbi Yochanan said to himself, Midashami Anov, Ilfa lo Shama. From the fact that I heard and Ilfa didn't hear, Shma Mina Ledidi Kaimali Shaita. It must be that I'm the one who's going to be successful. Amar le Rav Yochanan Yehodev Uki ben Avshoy, Ki lo yechdal avyon mikir ba'aretz. Rav Yochanan said, listen, I'll go back to the yeshiva because I'll fulfill the pasuk that there'll never be a time where there won't be poor people in the world. And I'll be a poor person. So Rav Yochanan Hadar, Rav Yochanan went back to the yeshiva. Ilfa lo Hadar. Ilfa went on to do business. Adasa Ilfa Molech Rav Yochanan. Ilfa came back. By that time, Rav Yochanan was the Rosh Yeshiva. However, Amru Lo, Yosef Mar v'Garis Lavim Molech Mar. You would have stayed in yeshiva, you would have been the Rosh Yeshiva, not him. So he was Azal Tlon Afshe Ba'askrid. He pinned himself to the mast of the boat. Omar. One second.
Hey, someone fill me in on where we are so far.
Okay, I'm sorry. We're on Chaf Aleph, Amud Aleph.
Yes. Got it.
You have to wait down.
Okay.
So Ilfa and Rabbi Yochanan had been learning Torah together, Kenny, and they said they made a pact. Well, we're both poor. Let's go and make a living. And then they heard Rabbi Yochanan heard Malachim say, one of these guys are going to become successful in learning. And only Rabbi Yochanan heard that. So Rabbi Yochanan went back to yeshiva, became the Rosh Yeshiva. Ilfa went off, made his fortune, came back. And they had told him, when Ilfa came back, the Talmidim said, you know what, if you would have stayed, you would have been the Rosh Yeshiva. So Ilfa wanted to show them that, you know what, I'm still learning. I could still be the Rosh Yeshiva, even though I went and did business. So he taped himself to the mast of his boat, Omar. Ask me any question from the Baraisas of Rabbi Shia. And if I don't, for your kasha from a Mishnah, Nafilim askar desfina v'tova. I'm going to fall from the mast and drown. Asahu Saba. Eliyahu came. Tonole. Ha'oimer tnu shekel lebonai b'Shabbos. You have a shchivmer, a person on his deathbed, and he says, give a shekel to my son for a week of his. He needs that amount to live. Ve'hein ru'uyin lo se'lem sela. But they really need, $100. No, he didn't mean necessarily just to give them the shekel. He meant to give them what he needs. However, if he uses a different language, don't give them more than a shekel, then ein masalam el shekel. Then the intent was just to give them that amount. Im Omar mesu yirshu achem tachteim. If he says, the same Shchivra says, I'm giving a certain asset to these Yorshim, but after their death, this asset should fall to somebody else. Bein she'omer tnu, bein she'omer al titnu, ein noisam el shekel. You give them a minimum amount, because obviously the father wanted a specific amount given, not more, because he wanted to give more of his assets to other people. So the question is, what was they asked Ilfa? What was the makor of this? Amrlei Amani Rab Meir. It's Rab Meir. The Amar mitzvah l'kayim divrei ameis. Rab Meir says you have to be makayim exactly divrei ameis. Okay. Amar Allah. So now comes a famous Gemara. Amar Allah al Nachum ish gamzu. There was a Tana Nachum ish gamzu. Shayatsuma mishtei yoinav. He was blind in both of his eyes. Gidei mishtei yadav. He was an amputee of his arms. Kitei mishtei raglav. His legs were amputated. Chol gufa moleshchin. His body was full of boils. V'hayamutal bebeis ra'ua. He lived in a crumbly house. V'ragle mitosu menachem b'sfam shalmayim. The legs of his bed were in water. Kedei shelo yalu alav nemalim. Otherwise, worms would crawl up on him because he had no arms and legs to shoo them away. So he was in water. His bed was one day was in a house that was going to collapse. Bikshu tamidav lefanas mitoso. They wanted to take him out first, the achar kach lefanas sakelim, and then take the furniture out. Omerlam bonai, panos sakelim v'achar kach panos mitoso. Take the furniture first, then take me out. Shmuftach lechem shekol zman shani babayis ein abayis noifel. I have bitachon that as long as I'm in the house will not fall, and therefore I'll be able to rescue my assets and myself. So pinus hakelim. So they took the furniture out. V'achar kach pinus mitoso. Then they took his bed out. Then v'nafal abayis. Then the house collapsed. Armela Talmid of Rebbe. You're obviously at Tzadi Gamor, because I see Hashem keeps the house from collapsing because of your schus. So therefore, we have a question for you. Lama asal chakach. Why have you been so afflicted terribly? I'm the cause of myself. I caused it. I was on my way in the road to visit my father-in-law. I had with me 3 packed donkeys full of material. One had food, one had drink, one had all the delicacies. Poor person stood in front of me. And he said, please give me some food. He says, okay, let me remove some of the food from the donkey and I can give you. Before I could finish unpacking, the guy died. I fell on my face. My eyes that didn't have Rachmanis on his eyes, he saw should become blind. My hands that didn't have rachmanis on your hands, these gadmut should be cut off. Raglai shleichaso raglecha. My feet that didn't have rachmanis for your legs, it's cut too, should also be cut off. V'lo niskara daiti. I still didn't feel I had kapara atra marti kol gufi yehi mole shchin. My body should be full of boils. So the Talmidim said, Amruloi, oy lanu shira inucha bekach. Woe is to us that we see you in this stage. Amrulem oili im lori isun bekach. No, woe to me if I wouldn't have been seen by you in my state. Meaning, this is the way I wanted it to be as a kapara.
What did he do that he could? He could did as fast as he could. Maybe he didn't do as fast enough, huh? He cut down to he got loaded, and then within a second, he said this would seem to imply that he hesitated.
I don't argue with you. It's a very powerful Gemara
Yeah, yeah.
that and he treated himself very severely, i.e., he davened that this should happen to him because maybe on his level, he saw it as a tremendous chisaron, and felt he wouldn't get his ultimate kapor without these things happening to him.
It says he should have leaped from the donkey, pulled out of the sack, and that's what it said.
Why did they call him Nachumish Gamzu? Anything that happened to him, whether good or whether bad, he would say, this is also for good. The Jewish people had to send a gift to the Roman Caesar. Abruman Yezel, who should we send? Yezel Nachumish Gamzu. We should send Nachumish Gamzu. The Malumid ben Nisanu, he's a miracle worker. Shadru biyadei melos sitma davanim tarvis margolias. They sent him a box full of jewels and pearls. Azal bas baudira. He dwelled in a certain inn. Belele kamu hanach dioroi. The other people in the inn, or the innkeeper, shkilnu lesiftem lina afra. They took the jewelry out and put in dirt. When Nachum saw that, he said, Gamzula Toiva. When they got to the Caesar, they opened up the chest. This is the big gift from the Jews to the Caesar. It's full of dirt. The king wanted to kill them all out. The Jews are laughing at you. So Nachumish Gamzu says, Omar Gamzu L'Toifa. Also Eliyahu Novi appears. Ad Melech Kechad Minayu. It appears like one of them. Omar Le Dilma Hai Afra Me Afra Da Avram Avuinhu. This is probably the dirt of Avram Avinu. The Chiavi Shadi Afra, when Avram Avinu would throw the dirt, Havu Saife. It would turn into weapons, and he would use it to destroy his enemies. Gili, Havugiri. It would be like arrows. So the Romans had a certain country that they couldn't conquer. So they brought this dirt and they used it as a weapon. It worked, and they were able to conquer the other country. So they saw that this was very valuable. They brought the chest with this dirt into their treasure house. And they filled up his chest with precious stones and pearls. And they sent them with great covet. Now, Nachumish Gamzu goes back home and he stays at the same inn that he stayed in on the way there. Kiyasu Baisu Bahudiyar, he stayed in the same inn. I see you come home with all this wealth and all this covet. What did you sell them? That which I brought from here, I took there. So they understood it had to do with the dirt that they gave him. Sasul dirayu. And I guess the dirt came from the house itself. So they tore down their house. And this dirt they brought to the Caesar. Amrulay, Mididanu, that dirt that was brought to you by Nachum Mishkams, it's our dirt. But Badku Avalosh Kachur, they checked it to see if it would work. It didn't work. Katlin Aladaf. So they killed all these in people. We see clearly it's not the dirt, it's the schus of Nachush Ish Gamzu that leads to the miraculous nature. Ezewi Dever. So we discussed a plague. What's a Dever? 500-person city that 3 people die over 3 days. What about 1,500 people? If you're going for Akko, the 9 people in 3 days. If it happens in 1 day or 4 days, ain't a Dever. The a 500-person city. If you're going for Amiko, 3 dead people in 3 days. It's a plague. Means a dever. Then it's not dever if it's 1 day or 4 days. Drukras Drukras was a city with 500 people. Gozer of Nachman Baruch Chizda Tanisa. Rav Nachman was Gozer Taanis. On Rav Nachman it's a command, Rav Meir. For example, by a shore muad, if he kills one person over a day for 3 days, he's a muad. Chachamim say if he kills 3 people in 1 day, he's not a muad. Rav Nachman says he is. He says if by killing 3, it's over 3 days, it's kavachoymer kol sheken. But so the Gemara wants to say here as well, having 9 people die in 1 day, why isn't that dever? So Rav Nachman said, Rav Nachman Yitzchak, you should come and be the Rav in our town. It's not the place that gives covet. The person gives covet to the place. Har Sinai, when it had HaKadosh Baruch Hu there, it was a holy place. You couldn't, the animals couldn't go up on Har Sinai. Once the Shekhinah left, everyone could walk on this mountain. The oil in Midbar was in 42 different places in the Midbar. When the Mishkan was in a place, so there were, you couldn't, the Zavim would have to leave the Machne. Hugla Paroiches, once the curtains of the base of the Mishkan came up, a Zav could go there. So it's the Shechina, not the place. So we have to come to you, not you come to us. I'm the son of not a Talmid Chacham, and you're the son of a Talmid Chacham. So there was still a reason for him to go. Bisuras Havis Dvarta. In Sur there was a plague. Bishivavusa de Rav Lavis Dvarta. In the neighborhood of Rav there was no plague. Savru Minei Mishum Schusa de Rav de Nafish. They thought that it's because of the Zchuyas of Rav. So they saw in a dream, Rav de Nefishit Chusei Tuva, Hamilta Zutra Leila Rav. This was Rav had tremendous Zchuyas. They didn't need such a powerful Zchuyas. There's another reason why the neighborhood of Rav didn't get it. Mishum Dao Gavra. The Shayal Maros Vila Lekvura. He would loan people things for kvura. Because of the schus that he helped people come to kvura, That's why they were saved from the plague. Bidroikras havid leikosa. In this other place, there was a fire. Uvishevus Ravuna lavis, like in Ravuna's neighborhood, didn't burn. Svormi neighbors chus Ravuna denofish. People figured it was because of Ravuna's zuchuyos. No, they didn't need Ravunas. He had way more zchuyos. It was a woman who would heat up her oven and loan it to neighbors who didn't have an oven. So it was just for Gemilas Chesed. Amar Rav Yehuda also kamtze. They told Rav Yehuda that they're grasshoppers here. Gozer Tanisa. They were Gozer Taanis. Amar look, loikam mafsudan. Yeah, but they are not causing any damage right now. Amar Lahu zavda by that. What? They're not coming by themselves. Eventually, they're going to cause damage. Amar Rav Yehuda ikam moisna v'chaziri. There was some kind of plague in pigs. Gozer Tanisa. It was Gozer Tanis. So name Ksav Rav Yehuda Maka Meshulechas Miminechad Meshulechas B'Kol Amimim. Is he concerned that once there's a plague in one species, it goes to another species? Lo. Shiny Chazir Dedamin Meyai Livnei Noshi. No. The intestines of pigs are very similar to human intestines. So if it damages pigs, we have to be worried about it as well. Armalei Lishmuel. There's a plague in Bechozoi. Gozer Taanis. But this is far away. Yeah, but there's no river dividing the two places, so it can come here easily. Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman was in Bavel. They told him there was a plague in Eretz Yisrael. He was Gozer Taanis. Amar im gvira loika shivcha loikoshaker. What do you mean? If the master is plagued, we who are the shivcha, certainly we have to be worried about it. Time of the gvir v'shivcha lo, but that means maybe only Eretz Yisrael and Chutz La'aretz. What about two places in Chutz La'aretz? Shmuel didn't live in Bechozoi, yet he was Gozer Taanis. So maybe we do Gozer Shani Awesome given the Ikar Shayros of Lahavi Vasi Badei. No, because Bechozoi had caravans traveling to the other places. Mashma that if there's a plague in one place, we don't fast in the other place in Chutz La'aretz. Abba nahavi asi leishamim mimsivasur dikir kol yom. There was a person called Abba the Bloodletter. And he would have visitors from the yeshiva of Mala every day. Labaya komala yom edeshabta. Abaya would only get a visit one Erev Shabbos. Larava would only get a visit like that, Komaila Diyom de Kippuri. Would only get it Erev Yom Kippur. Havik Chal Shaddai to the Abai Mishum Dabumna. Abaya had Chalisha Sadas. He was why does he get it every day? I only get it once a week. You don't do Meisim like he does. What was the special thing that Abba the Bloodletter did? When he bloodlet, he separated the sexes. He did the men separately and the women separately. He had a garment that would cover their arm, and only the place that he would make the incision for the bloodletting was open. He would use that for women, but for extra tznius, so he wouldn't stare at the woman's arm that was uncovered. He had a place where people paid for the bloodletting in a hidden place. Those that had money would put in there. The less they lo mitzvah, but they're not embarrassed because nobody saw who put in, who didn't put in. And he didn't take payment from a Talmid Chacham. Ubasar dekoy. Not only that, he would pay, if they paid, he would give them the money back. He would say, go eat to make yourself healthy. Okay. Yoim Achad,